Welcome back to another episode of The Bark. I'm Emma Dressel.
And I'm Aaron Barocas. On today's episode, we will be covering everything from the Pacers to a Super Bowl preview and more. Let's pass it over to Zoe for our first story of the day on the Pacers.
The Indiana Pacers, who were once in playoff contention earlier this year, have been on a pretty bad slide now for the past month.
They have only managed to win 2 out of their last 15 games. It doesn't help that they've been without their all-star point guard Tyrese Halliburton for 11 out of those 15 games. He returned on February 2nd, and in those 4 games he played, the Pacers have won 1 out of the 4. The Pacers are currently sitting in 12th place at 25-31. This past week, they had games against the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat. The Cavaliers game ended with a final score of 122-103, with Miles Turner leading the way with 27 points. They played Miami on Wednesday, which was a much closer game, but ultimately the Pacers fell to the Heat 116-111. Buddy Hield was their leading scorer with 29 points.
With 26 games left in the season, let's see if the Pacers can turn around their season and make the playoffs. This is Lorenzo Vergara from The Bark. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Zoe. Now let's pass it over to Drew Westland, who will be breaking down the 2 teams competing in the Super Bowl this year, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Heading into Super Bowl week, we now look at the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Drew, what matchups are you looking forward to watching this weekend?
Yeah, Luke, I'm looking for 3 important matchups, starting off with the quarterbacks. We have 2 very good quarterbacks on the head of both of these teams, Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs and Jalen Hurts for the Philadelphia Eagles. But the big thing with these 2, as electrifying as they are, their injuries designations heading into the week, as both have been playing hurt all postseason. Patrick Mahomes with that ankle and Jalen Hurts with that shoulder. But they should both be 100% and ready to go for the Super Bowl. Another important matchup to note is the Philly pass rush against this Kansas City Chiefs O-line. The Philly pass rush has done a great job all playoff long facing the Giants and the 49ers at keeping the pressure on the quarterbacks and making them uncomfortable all day long. So the main job for the Chiefs O-line is, can they keep their superstar quarterback clean? If they can, Patrick Mahomes will have tons of time to throw and find receivers downfield. If not, life could be a little miserable for the Chiefs offense. But the last and arguably most important matchup is the battle of the minds, the coaches in this game. Andy Reid for the Chiefs is as experienced as it gets. He's been to Super Bowls before. This is his 4th one. And on the other side, Nick Sirianni for the Philadelphia Eagles is getting his first taste of Super Bowl action. So both are going to be in charge of drawing up an excellent game plan to get their teams ready to play on Sunday.
And you mentioned Andy Reid. Obviously, he coached with the Philadelphia Eagles when he made the Super Bowl back a few years ago, and now he's with the Chiefs in the same situation. So that's another storyline that will be interesting to watch this Sunday. And finally, do you have a prediction for this Sunday's game?
Yeah, it's going to be a really tightly contested matchup. Both teams are skilled on both sides of the ball, but for me, it's that coaching matchup that makes the difference. The experience of Andy Reid, getting his guys together with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and that entire Chiefs team is going to make all the difference. So I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57.
Well, in other NFL news, we're also looking at the NFL coaching carousel, a little less known, but there still have been some huge moves made in the offseason, starting with Sean Payton. As we know, he was with the New Orleans Saints before last year transitioning to that Fox desk for Fox NFL Sundays, but he has agreed to terms with the Denver Broncos after Nathaniel Hackett has been fired. The terms are the Saints will receive a 2023 first-round draft pick and a 2024 second and third rounder. And then obviously this is an important deal because look for Sean Payton to give Russell Wilson that much needed stability after last season didn't go as planned. For Butler 360 Sports, I'm Luke Allen.
And I'm Drew Westland. Back to Emma and Aaron.
Thanks, Luke. Now to wrap up today's show, Kelly Robertson will be giving an update on all things Butler sports.
The men's basketball team kicked off a busy week here this week at Hinkle Fieldhouse. With Chuck Harris still out on concussion protocol, everyone stepped up to the plate. Jaden Taylor led the charge by taking numerous outside shots as well as going straight to the basket. Taylor had his 2nd game in a row, scoring 19 points, showing everyone why he deserves to have a spot in the starting 5. Manny Bates also had a great night and brought the energy with the dunk party. He ended the night with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and scoring 15 points for the Dogs. The game ended in a dramatic fashion with the last basket being overturned, giving the Dogs a 68-66 win at home. The Dogs will also face off at home against conference rival Xavier on Friday at 7 p.m. On Wednesday, the women's basketball team took on DePaul on the road in Chicago. The Lady Dogs were led by Rachel McLemore, who scored 18 points, 12 of which were from the three-point line. Senior Tenley Dowell came off the bench to score 11 points and have 3 rebounds. Jessica Crothers also helped the team by scoring 13 points. Even with this tremendous effort, the Dogs could not keep up with DePaul. They moved to 7-17 for the season. Their next game will be on the road this Saturday in Providence versus the Friars. The women's tennis team took home their second straight victory this week at Cleveland State with a dominant 4-3 win. Katie Bevan led the team, winning her match in a straight set. The Dogs look to continue this path at their next match on Friday, February 16th versus University of Indianapolis. And that's all for this week in sports. Back to you guys, Emma and Aaron.
Thank you, Kelly. And that concludes this episode of The Bark. I'm Aaron Barocas.
And I'm Emma Dressel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.